All right. Hey, everybody. Chris Gilmore here from Chris Outdoors and Wild Muskoka Botanicals, and I'm hanging out in front of Love Pottery in Dorset, Ontario, where we've been running a mushroom cultivation workshop all weekend. So teaching people how to grow edible and medicinal mushrooms at home. And if you don't know much about growing mushrooms, this video is for you, especially if you would like to do this at home. I'm going to walk you through our steps and our process that we go through. We just spent the whole day inoculating mushrooms. All the students went home with 1 bag of oyster mushrooms inoculated into straw and a log that they inoculated, an oak or a maple log they inoculated with shiitakes. So I'm going to go for a tour. I'm going to take you around back. Actually, our team is back there still working right now. First off, shout out to Tara and Kate at Love Pottery for letting us use their space here. We're in the beautiful Dorset, Ontario right now. Before I dive into this video, I'm going to show you basically our whole process of how we do the straw and the logs, or at least kind of show you the tools and kind of the setup for it. I did want to just chat a little bit about why I think growing mushrooms is so relevant right now and maybe easier than you think to actually do at home. But I think there's a lot of great reasons to learn to grow mushrooms in this modern world. And whether you live in an urban apartment or a northern homestead, there are ways to grow an abundance of food in a very small space. So that's reason number one, why I think growing mushrooms is super, super relevant. Growing an abundance of food in a small space. And the other one is like mushrooms are incredibly nutrient dense food. So when you want to think about rising food prices, supply chain issues, even the unsustainability of our modern global agricultural system, growing mushrooms are an incredible thing to think about because you can grow a large amount of food in a small space that's very nutrient dense. Mushrooms, they have vitamins, they have proteins. I used to think that mushrooms didn't have much nutritional value. I used to think of them as filler until I started learning. And mushrooms, proteins, vitamins, medicine, micronutrients, they're really phenomenal foods. So if all these things interest you, then stick around with us as we go on a little tour of our mushroom growing setup. Last thing I just want to say before I go and do this is that if you're interested in learning more about this stuff, I have a full online course and I want to offer you $30 off with the code FUNGI30. So if you go to, I just put a comment up there or a link. If you go to www.themushroomcourse.com, and you enter the coupon code FUNGI30, you'll get $30 off that course. And in that course, we teach you everything, like the real detailed process of how to do this. And we also dive into learning how to identify wild mushrooms in the forest safely, which can lead you on that start of that journey into foraging. So let's go for a walk right now, and we'll go take a look at the mushroom growing process. If you're hearing that loud noise over there right now, that's the angle grinder. They're drilling holes over there. So we'll come up over here, and as I said, I'll just kind of walk you through what this journey looks like. Whoa, I might need to get them to turn that off. Let's break on the angle grinder for a few minutes, unless you're falling behind. We'll break for just a few minutes here. So our process here, there's two different techniques that we're doing today. One was growing on straw. And actually, I got a demo over here that you can take a look at. So just give me 1 second as I move this over. This thing here is called a monotub. And this is a great option if you're growing indoors, particularly in an urban environment. And inside of this monotub, these are actually a little old. I've let them actually dry out because I wanted them as a demo. But those are the start of, hold on, let me get them in the view there. Blue oyster mushrooms growing on straw. That are, this is the 5th flush that's coming off this bag right now. So this is something that you could grow easily indoors. And this is what we were teaching people to do in today's class. What it looked like before this stage, I'm going to basically go in reverse for a moment right now, but we'll come over here. And this is what we had the class doing right now. So these are elm oyster mushrooms. And we had them inoculating straw inside of these bags with the elm oyster mushrooms so that it starts fruiting. So I'll walk you through the tools that we use for this and our process. So the first thing that we have over here is a propane burner. Now you could do this on a stovetop, you could do it on a fire, but our first step in the process is actually heating up water. And the reason we're heating up the water is to pasteurize the straw, basically killing any bacteria. So we've got some little pots down here. We put them up on the propane burner, and we're actually using these burlap bags. So if you can imagine, we take clean straw. So this is straw that's not been stored like outside, that's been rained on. As soon as it gets rained on, bacteria and stuff can start to grow in it. So what we did is we actually take these burlap bags that are relatively clean. We fill them up with straw. We put them into our big containers here. And then we bring them up to temperature on the propane burner. Temperature is between 165 and 175 degrees. That's pasteurization temperature, which is different than sterilization. And that's important. We want to allow some microbes to be living in there, but we want to kill certain microbes, allow others to go. So step number one, we bring the straw up to pasteurization temperature. We sit it there for an hour. Then from there, once it's gotten to that point, we bring it over here and we lay it out on the table here. And we basically let it cool down. So we tried to put the mycelium into it on its own. It's actually too hot. It would kill the mycelium. So we let it cool down. Once it's done that, we have these fancy bags over here. They're called Autoplay Bags. And they actually have little filters built into them. You can see right here. So we basically stuff these bags full of the straw. And as we're stuffing them, we have, where did our mycelium go? I'll take you over here for a second. You can come see our crew over here too. Here, I'll record you drilling in a second, Morgan. We need to catch up and get a couple logs going. Just give me one more second here. So we have our mycelium over here. So this is elm oyster mycelium that we're inoculating in there. And I get this from a company called Grow Mushrooms Canada or Happy Caps. They're both great companies. And actually, if you need to order any mushroom growing supplies or just mushroom growing kits, I suggest you go to growmushroomscanada.com. And if you enter the coupon code ChrisOutdoors10, you'll actually get 10% off of anything from that store, except for the Autoplay Bags. They sell those there. They don't give the discount on there. Now, this elm oyster kit, you can literally just split it open and it's ready to grow as well. So you get 3 to 4 flushes of mushrooms just off this elm oyster kit. So growmushroomscanada.com or Happy Caps. Happy Caps sells in the States as well. So you can go to amazon.us if you're from the States watching this and go to Happy Caps and order that. But if you go to Grow Mushrooms Canada, remember, enter Chris Outdoors 10 for 10% off your order. So we basically then take the mycelium from this that's meant to be a grow kit, but we're, instead of getting 4 flushes out of this grow kit, we're going to teach you how to get dozens and dozens of flushes out of that. So we take the mycelium out of that, and then we put it into our filter bags here with the pasteurized straw. Let the mycelium grow in there, and kind of 3 to 4 weeks later, this bag is going to fill up with mycelium. Then we're going to split holes in it. Now, there's some little tricks to like how you treat this at each stage of the grow game. Can't share all the secrets on here. But anyways, once it's inoculated, then you expose it to light, increase the oxygen level, you tweak the temperatures a little bit more, and that's when you start getting the fruiting bodies coming out. So that's the next technique or the first technique we're doing. The other thing we were doing, I'm going to show you over here. We got our crew over here working hard. So this is doing the Shiitake Logs. So you can see our crew in the background there. Hey, crew. There we go. We got Morgan and Laura and the whole crew over here. So a couple steps here. So these are oak and maple logs that we have down here. We basically set up stations. So I have this fun little inoculation bit here. This is actually a drill bit. Let's see, where do I get it in here? Oh. A drill bit designed specifically for plugging mushrooms. It's got this little stopper here. It's actually got a little stopper that makes the hole the perfect depth going in there. And I've got an adapter that puts it onto an angle grinder that makes this whole process super fast. So we're using the angle grinder to basically drill these tiny little holes into the logs. Our next step after that is what Laura and Morgan are doing over here. So they're basically, Laura's doing it down on the end there. So you can see she's got this little, it's called a thumb inoculator. Just hold that up for a second, Laura. So we have a little bin of mycelium. You can see what Laura's doing there, where she's basically taking this, what we call sawdust spawn, which is inoculated with the oyster mycelium. That's what came out of the bag, the same thing I explained with the straw. And she's taking that and she's now stuffing it into the holes on the shiitake logs. And then Morgan's doing kind of our last step in this part of the process anyways. We don't want, once she's put that in there, it's susceptible to drying out really quick. So Morgan is now waxing the end of those pieces to keep the moisture in there. Once that's happened, we're going to come along here. And are those finished logs there? Yeah. They are. So you can check out these ones here. So these are logs here that are actually done now. So you can see all the holes that we've drilled in here. They've all been inoculated with what we call the sawdust spawn. And now these are going to sit for the next year as that mycelium basically begins to consume the log. So we call this the colonization phase. The log is basically the food. The mycelium is the organism. It's consuming the log. And once it's colonized this log, then it's going to be ready to reproduce itself and find a new host. So that's when it actually starts to grow the mushrooms out of the logs. So I'm going to go for a little walk around here. If you guys want to start drilling again, you're fine. I'm going to walk around front here. So that's like the basic process for growing mushrooms in a nutshell. Now, I will say my wife, Laura, and I, we grow an entire year's worth of food on our little homestead in a space that's about 10 feet by 20 feet. So not a lot of space. And then that's outdoors. But we also grow mushrooms year round inside of our house as well. So it's really miraculous how much food you can actually grow in a small amount of space. And with the way the world's going right now, you know, with food prices just absolutely skyrocketing, and with global supply chain issues, you know, I think self-reliance is so important right now. You know, I don't want to be reliant on these unsustainable systems anymore, and my family's safety, our ability to eat, to be at the whim of systems I don't have control on. As somebody that grows a lot of food, we have big gardens, we practice permaculture, we wild forage. Out of all the things we do, I really think growing mushrooms is one of the things that increases our self-reliance the most. It's where we get the most like bang for your buck, for lack of a better term, and what allows us to actually grow a lot of nutrient-dense food in a really small space. So there's just a little overview of kind of some processes. That's really just the tip of the iceberg. If you want to check out the mushroom growing course, again, go to www.themushroomcourse.com. And in there, we teach a whole bunch of different techniques. We walk you through step by step. We teach you where to get all the materials for it. We also do run some in-person classes. So if you go to my website, chrisoutdoors.ca/courses, or to our Wild Forage Foods website, wildmuskoka.com, you can learn more over there as well. So I'm going to leave it there right now. I'm going to get back to the crew and go help them with the mushrooms. I'm sitting here talking to you while they're doing all the work right now. But I really hope you enjoyed that kind of intro to being able to grow mushrooms at home, and it's something that you might consider. If you want $30 off the course, go check it out. But I really just, in this video, I laid out the foundation for you. Like, everything is kind of in there. If you want to run with it and play with it, go back and watch it again. And if you want support and want us to walk you through all of the steps, check out themushroomcourse.com and enter Fungi30 for $30 off. Okay, everybody, Chris Outdoors here, signing off. Cheers.